These numbers on screen here, 64 million to 85. That's the number of kilometers of roadways across the world. Right? That's how large it is. But 1.42 billion vehicles that are there on the planet today. And this number is increasing rapidly. India, we've got about 6.7 million kilometers of roads in India alone. And this is also expanding. If you look at Gadkariji's mission, to make all parts of India accessible, that is rapidly expanding. And this caters to about 326 million cars. That is a lot, not just cars, trucks, buses, everything that you see on our roads, two-wheelers included. 326 million is a huge number. Now, what this does is it puts a lot of stress on our infrastructure. Our infrastructure needs aren't met currently, for the number of vehicles that we have on our roads. As a result of which, we see traffic jams, we see a lot of stress increasing amongst people. I used to work for an automotive magazine, and some years ago, we had done a story called the stress test. And there's some very interesting results in that stress test. Essentially, it allowed us to analyze and see and detect what are the levels of stress created by different vehicles in different traffic conditions. So yes, the way you drive, what you drive also matters where health is concerned. So something that's very, very unique to learn about. Now, this stress on our infrastructure is not confined to just urban landscapes. It doesn't mean that we're there in the cities also today. I'm also a travel specialist. I enjoy traveling by road to a lot of places, and I'm seeing that stress expanding to those places as well. So far-flung regions across India, in fact, are less equipped to handle that kind of stress. So you see longer traffic jams, you see far worse accidents, so many other cases, so many other issues in these far-flung places. And that is also becoming another problem. So it's no longer confined to just urban areas, it's also spreading across the country. Now in India, we have something that we know, a very unique situation, and this is known across the world. It's called organized chaos. We look at this, it's Hamara Jugaad. We think about this as Jugaad, that we, operate in any condition anyway. And where does it stem from? Chaos. You see two-wheelers riding all over the place, cars not following lanes. There's so many things that are constantly happening. And is this something that we really require? Is something that we need to ask ourselves? Is this a situation that we need to create when all of this can be handled very, very easily? If you go overseas, if you go abroad, for instance, you will see that regulations are in place, systems are in place, processes are in place. Except in India, licensing is an issue, sensibilities is an issue, common sense. We just don't seem to have common sense in this country, which allows us to move and progress and advance in a very systematic way so that, you don't lose time, you don't lose money, you don't lose your good health. So all of these matter to the amount of time that you also spend on your road. Interestingly, 1/4 of your lives, as you go overseas, you'll move out of this place, you'll start your jobs and careers wherever, you will spend about 1/4 of your lives on the road. If not in buses, planes, trains, wherever else it takes you. You will spend 1/4 of your lives. And that is a lot of time to be spending on the roads. If you're living in Bombay, that quarter might become a half. But, it's 1/4 of your life that you will spend on the road. So in that sense, we need to come to a situation which is called responsible motoring. How do we ourselves handle and manage our behavior on the roads? Now, there's a short and a long story to it. The short story, of course, is very simple. Follow traffic regulations, obey the rules, traffic lights, don't break them, stay on the right side of the road. These are all small things. But over 23 years of being an automotive journalist, there are other aspects also that I've learned that kind of helped me and gave me a sensibility of how we should technically be operating. There are simple things that, you would realize in time. I'm just here to make them concise and give them to you right now. Over time, they probably help you as well. But for me, it's taken me 23 years to learn them, which may seem like a lot of time, but nonetheless, it is there. So before I get on to the next one, there's one small joke that I remember also in my head. This is about Italy and the Italian police, and effectively, there's a saying. This is a small joke that goes on between automotive journalists. If you're driving 10 kilometers an hour above the speed limit in Italy, the Italian police will arrest you. Right? But if you're doing 100 kilometers above the speed limit, they will all stand and they'll wave and they'll clap and they'll cheer you and say, go faster. So that's how it is in Italy, which brings me to my first point for responsible motoring. It is, what are you capable of? And what is your vehicle capable of? It's very essential for all of you all to know this. Now, I'll come to this very simply. Everyone over here, if you've ridden a motorcycle or if you drive a car, at some point you've always tried to see how fast you could go. How many of you all have actually tried to understand how quickly could you stop? If you're doing 100 kilometers an hour, have you ever tried to see just how fast can my vehicle stop, or how much time can I, or how quickly can I handle that stress of braking on a two-wheeler? A lot of y'all would have gone through some instance or the other where you would have fallen, you would have seen the front wheel, you'd lose the front wheel, the rear would step out, something would happen. How quickly could you react to that? How many of y'all have actually analyzed this and said, can I stop as fast as I can? Let me try this out once. Do you realize that it takes about 4 times the amount of force to stop a vehicle than it takes to accelerate it? Which is huge. That puts a lot of stress not just on the vehicle, but also on the individual on that vehicle. But this is something that you need to understand. I'll give you another example. This comes from my own personal experiences. As kids, we used to, even now, we do a lot of road travels. We go everywhere by road. And back in the day, my dad had a Mahindra Jeep, a MM540 DP. And we would pack everybody in. Family would go in, luggage would go in, because we'd go for a month-long holiday. Goa, Mangalore, and then back to Bombay. So it so happened one day we were going towards Goa. There's a lot of luggage in the top of the car. There are about 6 of us inside the car, packed inside the car. And we come down this one particular ghat. And as we turn the corner, the vehicle turns over onto its side. We are on 2 wheels. And everybody inside the car goes, oh! And I was like, wow, my dad is a stunt driver. But what my dad never realized was that loading a vehicle in that manner could offset the way it handles. It could upset its behavior. So he never knew it then. I understand it as an automotive journalist now. I understand these nuances. I understand how a vehicle is supposed to behave. But he didn't back then. So you need to know what you can do, first of all. And secondly, what it is that your vehicle can do. It's very, very important. Be aware of your surroundings. Now, this is where I'm coming to for you specifically, because as you go ahead in life, you are going to move to various places across the world. I'll give a very quick example from what I just did. I was in Gulmarg 2 days ago, driving in sub-zero temperatures. Then in Srinagar, driving towards, I drove towards Chandigarh just about a week ago. Today, I'm driving from Pune to Bombay. My condition for driving keeps changing. The regions that I am in consistently changes. In Gulmarg, it was all snow and ice and sub-zero temperatures. Very cold, very tricky to drive in. Then I come to Pune, again very tricky to drive in because there are 10 million two-wheelers all around me. Everyone's riding in some different place or the other. You don't have control over what your environment is like. But you have to be constantly aware of your surroundings. You will move. Today you are in Pune, tomorrow you will be in Bangalore, tomorrow day after you might be in Delhi, or wherever it takes you. But each and every region has a different style. It has different conditions. And you will have to constantly be aware to this. And this also happens to a lot of people. You will also travel abroad for holidays, for instance. And one of the biggest problems that a lot of people have is when you approach a circle. When you see a circle, you're supposed to go around it. In India, we go from the left. In Europe, we go from the right. And I have seen journalists, experienced professionals do this where they ever entered a circle in Europe in the wrong direction. And then you panic. You don't know what to do. So you have to constantly be aware of where you are and what are the conditions you're driving in. Patience is a virtue. It is. I don't have a lot of it. I'll be very honest. As I grow older, I seem to have lesser and lesser of it. And you have to constantly exercise this. Patience is something that you need a lot of, especially in Indian conditions. We know how traffic is out there, but it doesn't take you much to just stay in line, not break that, and just wait. We did a story some years ago called Rush Hour. And Rush Hour was a very interesting story where we took multiple types of vehicles from point A to point B, right, from home to work, to see and understand what is the amount of time it would take, or rather how much of time would we lose in each kind of a vehicle. You know what the difference was between the fastest vehicle, which was a motorcycle, and the slowest vehicle, which was the PMT bus, for instance. The difference was 8 minutes for a distance of about 35 kilometers. 8 minutes. How important or how much are you going to lose in those 8 minutes? How much of a difference would that 8 minutes make? The slowest mode of transport was the PMT bus, like I said, or the BST bus in Bombay. And the fastest was a two-wheeler or a motorcycle. Over a distance of 35 kilometers, you lost just a difference of 8 minutes. It does not sound like a lot, and it is not a lot. You can handle 8 minutes. So there is no need to, get in that aggressive mode. I have to break that lane, get up ahead. I keep seeing this happen. So it's not necessary to do this. We can take things a little slower, for that matter. This is something that, I appreciate a lot. And I see a lot of it coming in to a new generation. We travel, and I love traveling, road trips. Travel to see, not to show, right? When you're traveling somewhere, it does not mean that you have to take your phone out everywhere. So I used to run a company called Extreme Travel and Lifestyle Zone, XTLO. And one of the travel programs was called Disconnected. And Disconnected used to essentially tell people to leave their phones with us and just go out and see the place for what it is. Be there in the moment is what I'd like to tell you. Be there, not to take a photograph. I see so many people today taking out a smartphone and doing the stupidest of things just to get that one moment or that one, I would say, high for social media. Instagram, Twitter, or wherever you are, or Facebook, or whatever it is. It's not that necessary. Live that moment. Enjoy it for what it is. Not everything has to be captured on camera. But I see more and more of this happening. I was in Gulmarg the other day. There were more people on the slopes getting videos of themselves skiing than actually learning to ski. This one's another interesting one. Leave no trace behind. You would often have heard about this. Leave no trace behind. Let me come to this very quickly. And I'll give you a very simple calculation out here. On our expeditions, and we used to do a lot of this previously, we would carry a lot of water bottles for people. You assume that you're consuming about 2 liters of water a day when you're traveling by road. And that means you've got about 4 bottles of half liter water bottles, smaller bottles, not the larger 1 liter bottles. So if I take those four bottles per person for a 10-day journey, that's 40 bottles consumed in a day. Now multiply this by a bigger group. Let's say that's 10 people. That's 400 bottles. 20, that's 800 bottles, and it exponentially increases. So over a 10-day period, for 20 people, you've consumed about 800 bottles, plastic bottles. What happens to that waste? A lot of places that we travel to where, they don't have proper sanitation facilities. What happens to those 800 bottles eventually? So how do we break onto that? How do we break that entire process? What we did was we started presenting a bottle, a proper sports water bottle or a metal bottle to people, and we started carrying the 20-liter water gallons along with us. And we'd ask them, please refill from wherever you are. Whenever you require it, please refill. So what was our waste at the end of the day? Almost zero. Because those 20-liter bottles, they go back for recycling, they get refilled with fresh water, and they're sent out again. If not, you can also refill them at hotels or wherever you stop, ask them to put in filtered water, and then refill it wherever you want. Effectively, we stopped using 800 bottles of water. So the change was dramatic. So leave no trace behind wherever you're traveling. You will figure out ways and means of doing this. This is one part of being a responsible motorist. Learn and respect local customs. Again, very crucial. So one, you need to be aware of your surroundings, what you are doing. Second, you need to learn and respect whatever local traditions are in that particular place. This happens very often, I've seen across India. We constantly see these messages coming out from places in Ladakh, from places in the Northeast, from Gujarat, from Central India, even South India. For the sake of social media or for the sake of just for that one big thrill, you get into doing something that's not right because you do not know. So everything kind of interconnects to itself. Pace yourself. Very interesting one. You guys are going to go out there, MBAs, you're going to start out, you keep hearing about innovative ideas happening through TEDx and various other platforms. And you will think, why don't I come up with the next big thing as well? And one of the big things that came up very recently was the 10-minute delivery service. Do you really need something in 10 minutes? How important is it that it has to get to you in 10 minutes? I can understand it's medical supplies. Emergency, kisi ko defibrillator chahiye, 10 minutes, it'll reach you. But everything else, 10 minutes. Slow down. Very, very essential. One of the most amazing rides or trips that I've taken in my life, and people find this hard to believe, is when I've taken a group of young kids, 10 girls, 2 boys, for an expedition with TVS on scooters to Ladakh, the TVS Scooty Pep. 110cc scooters, and it was the most amazing experience. Why? Because we could not ride at a pace above 40 kilometers an hour. Just would not climb the Himalayas above 40. So at 40 you were stuck. So you had to exercise patience. So you just had to sit quietly and ride at that pace. But effectively what happened was you started seeing a lot more, you started absorbing a lot more, and that became a lot more valuable to people. So pace yourself, slow it down, you'll experience more. And the last bit, research, very important. We're talking about a lot of technology, and it's very essential for technology to work in this day and age. Going long distance, this is in urban conditions. If you're going long distance, you're driving to some new place. Look at that. Look at those conditions as well. Just yesterday, in fact, I was in Srinagar, flying out of Srinagar. Well, a couple of my colleagues have been driving down from Srinagar towards Chandigarh. From Srinagar to Chandigarh, we looked at Google Maps, and it showed us it's going to take you an enormous amount of time. But Google Maps also allowed us to see what are the alternate options. Effectively didn't amount to much, to be honest, because they still took, for a shorter distance, they still took, more than twice the amount of time that they should have taken. But technology helped them analyze these conditions. Today, it's getting smarter and smarter. There are better and better apps coming out that will help you analyze and understand what the conditions are like. We need to use weather maps. I was in Gulmarg. So before I went to Gulmarg, I very clearly knew what was it that I needed to carry. I've seen this very often. People don't, I've seen people coming to Ladakh, for instance. They have got very little in terms of warm clothes. They come in winter conditions, but they're not carrying any warm clothes. Why? Delhi se to nazdik tha, Chandigarh se nazdik tha, hum log soch ke nikal jayenge. But coming to a hilly area, you don't know much about it. So research, know and understand what you are getting into and where you're getting into. It will make it easier, more convenient, more seamless, not just for yourself, but for everybody. Imagine coming up to Gulmarg in winter conditions, sub-zero temperatures, you get stuck. There are 10 other people trying to help you get out of the way because you've created a traffic jam. Everybody is inconvenienced because of your ignorance. So research your stuff, understand what it is you're going to be doing, and make it easier for everybody, including yourselves. So guys, these are the things that I have learned, 23 years, a few of these that I hope you will kind of inculcate in your daily lives and maybe take forward as well, and have a seamless, smooth, stress-free journey. Thank you.